Hello. Today I'll be discussing about my pitch by me, Jaden Abwell. So, for my elevator pitch, what I'll be doing for my project is I'll choose to create a podcast where I will gather 2 to 3 other people, including myself, and we will discuss and debate the best video games for different genres, such as shooter or action games. And the games we'll be talking about are games that we've all collectively played at one point so that we can talk more in depth about those games based on our experiences, and we'll discuss what we like, what we dislike, what can be improved, and so on. And my target audience will be for 16 to 25 years old who are interested about video games. I've chosen this target audience as video games are mainly played by younger people and a younger demographic. Um, so they're more likely to engage in discussions about video games. And based on my primary research, which will be shown in the next few slides, um, it's shown that people of younger ages prefer podcasts that are conversational and relatable, and which will help. And by doing this, we'll be increasing engagement as this fits the audience preferences. As you can see here, most of the respondents are between 16 to 18, and how often they listen to podcasts, it's quite mixed. A third of them said never, a quarter of them said weekly, another quarter said yearly, and 16.7 said monthly. So it shows that it's really a mix of how often younger people listen to podcasts. So, but a third, but the most common answer was never. So, what I will do is I will make sure that I will attempt to promote my podcast so that it reaches to these people that have said never, and I'll do so through social media sites like YouTube or Spotify, um, which are the highest, way to discover podcasts, which will be shown later. Here, most people said that they discover new podcasts through ads, YouTube, TikTok, Spotify. So I will upload it there so that more people will listen to it and more people can see my promotion efforts. As you can see here, most people prefer most young from my research, younger audience would prefer casual and conversational podcasts where we discuss about our personal experiences and stories and opinions. And you can see here the most popular genres are action, adventure, and open world. So what I'll do is I will discuss games based on those genres so that it appeals to a wider audience. Next slide. So yeah, I will from that research I will use these in consideration to show that I've actually listened to my audience, um, and and yes, I will, and to ensure that it reaches a global to a global audience, I will upload it to the most popular streaming services like YouTube and Spotify, so that my podcast reaches globally and that everyone is able to listen it. I'll make sure it's free, so it doesn't matter how much you earn, you can always listen to it, which will help with the popularity. And here is my mood board for creative style and direction. Uh, my naming idea for my podcast will be the gamer's perspective, which fits which fits a lot, which um, towards my podcast because me and my group will share our different perspectives about the same video game, which is perfect. And you can see from my mood board, I will use this font as it's great and it's associated with gaming. I will also record my podcast in a podcast studio in QMC, because they have the professional equipment I need in order to actually produce a podcast that's high quality and industry standard. And these images of people talking, I've tried to convey that hosts and guests can share their experiences, express their opinions, and humorous to show that individuals have different experiences when they play the same game. And for my logo, create, I will add a microphone and a gaming console because that's the identity of my podcast. Uh, Based on Because I want people to immediately tell what my podcast will be about based on the logo and the font. And the requirements, the things I need to have a good quality podcast are headphones, microphones, a recording software which I will use, and I'll use Adobe Audition for this. We'll also need a podcast mixer and audio interface, and location will be in QMC Podcast Studio, as I've stated. And the cast characters, I only need 2 to 3 guests. I will also try and make a video podcast as well, where I use images and gaming clips and visuals. I will use it for promotion, so I will picture. Um, so for promotion, I will use pictures of me and my group discussing things. I'll use clips and upload them on social media sites like Instagram or YouTube, where we'll do it in a podcast studio to show that we're a professional podcast. However, so something like this is where we're recording in. However, a challenge of recording a podcast is given that we only have 2 to 3 weeks to actually produce a digital media product. It will be hard to negotiate with other people as to what time we're all available at. So I would need to discuss this really early on so that we can find out a common time that we're all available. Another challenge would be technical issues, as I'm worried that a glitch might occur or audio issues might occur, which could lead to poor quality audio and could affect my overall podcast and could affect my listeners, as they may not as listeners will not enjoy a bad quality audio and and could potentially make them not want to listen to my podcast. Now, for my inspirations, there were 2 main inspirations for my podcast. One of them being Kind of Funny podcast, and I've chosen this podcast for inspiration because the podcasts allow for discussions from different perspectives, and now each of those hosts approach the same game. So they talk about their experience, the different experiences based on the same game, their opinions, and that. And the difference in opinions are shown, not taken out, which I will use in my podcast to emphasize that people have different opinions and perspectives on the same game. And debating and discussing with other hosts, which I will do as well, uh, to maintain engagement. And another one is Triple Click. So I've chosen this podcast for inspiration as the host use informal and conversational language, which I will also use, um, so that listeners can easily understand what we're talking about. And the use of humor to relate the audience, which I will use as well. And a consistent episode structure. All episodes have an intro, main discussion, and outro, which I will use for my podcast to show that my episode has structure to it. However, I will also attempt to add a promotion at the end, such as, you can listen to this through other sites. And I also add like background music. I'll also add like transitional music as well to show that we're switching from different structures. Um, and that's all. Thank you for listening.